Okay, so in this video, I want to talk about results of actions. So what I mean by that is very often you do an action and then something happened in that action and you need to pull the result of that. So for example, you ran a vote and after everyone voted, you need to know who voted at this particular option. You need to know which vote got the most, which option got the most votes. You need to know all these pieces of data because you are going to be manipulating those variables and saving them in the cache and then doing things with them later. Okay. So for every action, if it returns a result object, that result object is documented in the relevant document. So let's look at this documentation. Create vote. This is a create vote action. It takes a bunch of optional parameters. And here in the documentation, it says returns result object. So it returns this object that has these fields: vote result, voices, answers count, answers voters, and the documentation tells you what these fields actually contain. Right? So this is super useful because many times when you create a vote, you're going to need one of these fields. How do you get access to the result object? Well, it's just called last action result. So let's look at an example here in the game JSON. So this is a create vote action. What I'll do is I'll copy it into the JSON parser so you can see it a little bit easier. Okay. So we called create vote. We have this payload, which contains a ton of stuff. And we save. Now, let's look at what we saved in the cache. We can see here, we saved this variable called accused. And the value of accused is get cached value of last action result. Now, last action result is the result object of this action. Now, you might say, okay, why did we save last action result and not last action result dot vote result or last action result dot voices? So here's the complexity. Post handlers, which is essentially post processing for the action, post handlers always return their result in last action result. If you don't have a post handler, you'll get back an object that looks like this. If you do have a post handler, you will just get back last action result, which is just a single list of stuff. So that's just something to be aware of, right? So we have documentation for what our handlers do and what they return, but they almost always return just a single list of stuff. They don't return a dictionary with a bunch of fields. They return a list. If you don't use the post handler, then you get back the dictionary. Okay? So that might be a bit confusing. You'll see this in practice when you actually do it. But if you use the post handler, you just need last action result, and it's get cached value, which is a selector that just extracts the value of a cached object. Let me show you a situation where it's a little bit different. Okay, so again, I know I'm going super fast here, but this is another create vote action. You guess the word. Now, who do you think the con artist is? So it's a vote at the con artist. And in this particular vote, we don't care about handling the situation where someone didn't vote. If you didn't vote, sucks to suck. We're not going to pretend that you did and give you some fake vote, right? So in this case, there is no post handler. And so the result object that we get back is in fact the JSON, right? The vote object we get back, the last action result object that we get back is in fact this JSON. So if we want a particular field of that JSON, we have to reference it. That's why here it says last action result dot vote result. Okay? Because we're specifically getting the vote result field of the return object. Okay? So that's last action results. It's particularly important for vote actions because you are almost always fetching something from the result of the vote. Other actions that work in this way are create a puzzgrid. So if you have a puzzgrid, usually that puzzgrid action returns an object that tells you was the puzzgrid solved or not and how long did it take. Create input actions. also return an object like this. So create input is where you can type in free text, right? So this is the create input action, and it returns a result object, which is a dictionary of each player ID to the value that they submitted. Okay, so there's a few actions where you really care about the result, and you need to know how to handle that. Great, that's all.